hydrate power. You're in the Dogg Zzone for an hour.
It got so big, it became a muscle bone. It got stabbed into me. Let it pop. I'm not sweating, I'm just missing you. With one step closer to the moon.
Yeah, 9,000.
Hello, Darkos. That is the familiar form of Darkonians, and I have held onto that joke for 2 weeks.
Is that a Bladesman joke?
That is a Bladesman joke.
A deep cut.
We are going all the way back to Elphonia and all the other strangely named lands of the Blades mythos. But welcome to the Dogg Zzone 9000, the official podcast of 1-900-HOTDOG. The last endorphins available, like on screens, online, anything that has electricity behind it. I think this is the last thing where your lips curl upwards instead of the other thing.
Right, I remember those.
I remember this. It's a weird sensation, and
similes.
Yeah, similes like as various other transitions that you don't bother to remember because it's kind of a waste of RAM. But yeah, this is the internet's Constantinople, the Ark of Comedy, the oasis in a desert of bots. Unless you get like a really sick thing out of Korra, which I kind of get, but. If you can't dance, it is the only reason to own a screen. I can dance, and it's still all I do, because every dance challenge insults motion, the human body, and your mind. Here, we only curse your mind.
This is a beautiful intro, Dennard.
I like that your intros are as dense as your writing.
Oh yeah, this is my signature, I guess. I don't know, my brain's always bouncing around like a tennis ball. And the court for it, 1-900-HOTDOG, there is a comedy article every weekday, Monday through Friday. It is more reliable than all the glass, like, tall buildings in your town or my town or any town. And they are funnier and smarter than every other option. Trust me, I've looked. There are also no other options. And in case you're, sort of an audio-only type usually, just to tease you, last week we covered a self-help book about murdering your ex. A video game about being murdered in a video store. Well, it was a record store. A tabletop game about karate murder. A manga about murdering virgins. A comic about every other type of murder. So if you have like a thirst for blood that is just not being sated, 1-900-HOTDOG it's right there for you.
I did sort of notice when I was scheduling the week that this is a real murder-heavy week.
Yeah,
They're not always like that, peaceful listeners. It's not all about maiming.
We promise, Ross. I remember the weirdest coincidence was it was like accidentally doll week once, I think.
Yeah, that was weird. I think we accidentally had a cat week.
Cat week was pretty gold. I loved the not stoner cats itself, the write-up, but that was a good time.
Yeah.
So then there's Big Feats. If you're here, you should also just listen to Big Feats. Like the overlap of appeal it's a circle. You listen to Big Feats. Mm-hmm. Smile twice a week like you're an FBI prosecutor this month. Like, this is your moment. Enjoy that. Part of our Mount Rushmore here includes your main host, patient zero of digital laughter, Seanbaby.
Thank you. This is a fantastic intro. I don't even want to say anything because I'm just enjoying it.
Fantastic. And today's guest is Mark Mahoney, aka Bad Candy Mark, the survivor of every sugar substitute. I read a bunch of that this week, and I am pretty sure that you have superpowers now.
I appreciate that you bring it up every time I come on here. That someone does. Despite the fact that I am 90% sure that reference has no meaning to most anyone still living on this planet.
You say that, but like every time you're on, someone inevitably says on some sort of a platform, "Oh, hey, is this Bad Candy Mark?" Like, people have long memories.
I guess so. That's weird.
I mean, I remember the Honky Tonk Man. What was that, 50 years ago?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You're like the Honky Tonk Man to me, is what I'm saying. That's the nicest compliment I can give.
I think that might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah, you've got that intercontinental champion kind of sheen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Endurance.
I'm excited to be here. I was telling Sean earlier, I was literally born to talk about this movie that we were watching today.
Yeah, you're being brought in as like a world-class expert today.
I don't want to, before someone else gets a chance to mention, I don't want to say who it is or what the film is, but I have been watching this man's films for like 20-something years. This is my shit.
Dennard, do you have an intro for our subject?
I did not prepare one for the subject. I can totally freewheel, but...
Well, then that's freewheel because, Mark and I have been watching this guy's movies forever. Mark, obviously, is the expert. I've probably seen all of, what is he, 10 movies?
depending on how you want to count it, there's 12 or 13. There was the last one that was going into production when he died, Battlezone Hawaii. I don't think it made it past pre-production, but I would give literally anything to see that script.
If I'm being honest, I can already picture it. I know exactly what that movie would be, and
the broad strokes. The broad strokes, at least. Yeah.
We're talking about Andy Sedaris, if you don't know. And today we're watching Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And Dennard, you'd never heard of this dude or seen his movies, right?
This was my first experience. I was actually having kind of a trash can week until about 15 seconds after I pressed play on this movie, and now I have to give this... I've got to give this week a 9.2 out of 10, because it's
so incredible.
In a world of unlimited resources, I now know that everyone should just get to make a movie that is just their favorite things stitched together, zero transitions.
And that's literally what he did for 2 decades.
Yeah, it is kind of electric.
What's special about Andy Sedaris is when you think about the most generic exploitation movie, just hot cars and sexy babes and explosions, that's not really a very common thing outside of Andy Sedaris. He's sort of an example of something that is basically a cliche the moment it's invented.
Right.
Back in the day, I have a spreadsheet of millions of cracked article ideas. And I had one for things like this that sort of seemed like a cynical copy, even though they're really unique, like Alf or Theodore Rex. You see Alf and you're like, oh, another fucking sitcom about a space monster. But then you're like, wait a second, this is really weird.
Yeah.
But it feels like a cliche.
It rewards attention in a way that the box cover in the video store didn't let on. Or, the intro in the TV guide for Cinemax at 1 a.m.
Yeah. But it sounds like a grandma making fun of an action movie. It's another one of those titty exploding helicopter tropical paradise movies. No, this is a really unique thing you just said. But it feels like you just yada yada-ing.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me, because when I list out the pieces of this movie, it's way crazier than the way my brain tries to wrap it up as oh, yeah, it's a blonde bombshell action movie. It's this is a sumo wrestler RC car diamond heist poisonous snake.
I was telling Sean, I do not envy whomsoever amongst us is going to try to relay the plot of this movie today, because it's like if someone took 3 different Baywatch episodes and spliced them all together. There's 18 different threads going on, and none of them really matter.
I think it's also confusing because a lot of the exposition is delivered while a woman is changing her clothes in a really leering male gaze way. They're hey, let's see them titties. And then she's also kind of saying something important. You're start over, lady. I obviously was distracted. You knew this was going to distract me.
One of them talks about their dead parents with both of them just hanging out.
Just sitting around. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the things that's hilarious about these movies is you watch them and then you'll watch them 2 more times and you'll realize I don't know any of the characters' names in this film. Nope. I actually had to go to IMDb to look up the names of and I've seen this movie 12 times, I'm going to say. 15 times.
Amazing. Yeah, I know Donna and I know Taryn because they say their names a lot. And I think Donna, that's her real name, Donna Spear.
Yeah, probably she couldn't remember any other name.
But I called it Main Hunk and Ponytail Hunk for the guys.
I wrote down hunks. I wrote down hunks.
A way less important character that I retain, just because the character that talks to her says her name 16 times in a row, is Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
The producer just spams her name the entire time that he's hitting on her.
Yep.
And I guess it's supposed to distinguish him as this fast-talking guy, but I was thinking, oh, is Catherine about to enter our power trio here? Is this a late, and is this a player 3 blonde?
I think her character might have come back in subsequent movies. He had a weird way of kind of weaving characters through the various movies, but it's funny because this is in the kind of gradient, the spectrum of Andy Sedaris. This is a very early movie. I think this is only the second one in the quote unquote Lethal Lady series. The what is it? The Legion to Ensure Total Harmony in Law.
You ask you wouldn't be the one to know that. Oh, yes, Mark, I think you're right about what Lethal Ladies stands for.
Oh, yeah, I've got a Post-it note here.
Just a little flex.
It's amazing because this is so early in his career, but he already has posters of his other movies on the wall in the movie.
Yes.
And I'm oh, what a subtle little Easter egg. No, the fucking character points at it and says, you have a poster of the director's other movies on your wall.
One of them is a fangirl of it. The other is a half fangirl. There is no one is against.
tie it back in, because the first movie is Malibu Express, and the movie actually opens on them swimming around, skinny dipping around the Malibu Express. So that's like a tie-in back to that movie. But then he kind of keeps doing that for each movie, but not really. Like one of his later films had like Marcus Buff Bagwell in it.
Yeah.
And in one movie he's a bad guy. The next time he comes back, he's a good guy. Like clearly he was more about working these relationships with very like interesting people.
Right.
That was more important than like any sort of like cinematic universe he was trying to create.
It does feel like a more soulful version of that Adam Sandler thing of, hey, can I just bring 20 people to like the most beautiful place in the world and maybe we'll make a movie, but we'll see what happens.
This is the thing I truly love about his films, is that like you can these movies were really fun for everyone to make.
Except for the women, I think. They were 90s or they're 80s bikini babes. I don't think they've met a producer that didn't do something pretty criminal.
You look at Andy Sedaris and like you watch interviews with him, like his wife was a producer on all these films. Like
I think she wrote 2 of them.
He writes all of them. She produces most of them. And then usually his kids come in and help out in the movie in some way. Like I think his son has done like director of photography a bunch of times.
So you get to go with your family to a beautiful vacation.
Well, yeah, so like it can't have been that creepy. Like yes, he's a creep. He's a TV producer. I think he was a famous TV producer.
On screen, it's creepy. I can't imagine what it's like behind the scenes.
I can only live in hope. The entire time that I was enjoying this movie, I was on the borderline of like having a Behelit moment in terms of just this, like the wish of just like, do not be a McMahon, do not be just one time, let one blonde loving nutcase.
I think
Skeletor.
He was probably. I'm not ever gonna say. I mean, you know, he's dead now, but you can always have your milkshake duck moment later. But like, I really think that he was like probably just kind of a nice lech at worst.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like I'm talking about creepy, but I don't think he's Harvey Weinstein. Like
no,
super gross. I don't think any of these women did sexual favors, but I do think they had to put up with a whole lot of unwanted. Maybe some gentle touching, a lot of flirting.
Definitely him looking directly at their boobs when he was talking to them.
Yeah,
most of the time. Yeah.
There's one scene that bothers me so much where, okay, so the girl comes in and she greets her boyfriend and she's like, oh, hey. And he goes, hey, baby. And it's like she's talking directly to her boyfriend. They start making out and he's like squeezing his head in there trying to make eye contact with her after he calls her baby. Like, no, let's have our little intimate moment, sweetheart. And I'm just like, dude, this is so gross. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those scenes where I'm like, okay, I think I get this guy. I think I get his relationship with strange women.
Yeah.
Can I do a hard sequence break for the one I thought was weird?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just when they pull Edie out of the, like, nunchuck sex torture chamber.
Right.
And he immediately starts hitting on her with the kink thing. It's like, hey, you want to recreate some of this trauma? Huh?
Still tied up and gagged. And he's, like, kind of making fun of her.
We're getting ahead of ourselves because I do have that clip. And it's
okay,
fantastic.
Great.
So let's try to, I guess, go through the plot. I'll take it upon myself. I did take some, I guess, notes, I guess you'd call these.
Before we start, I wanted to note one thing. So during the pandemic, my friends Rachel and Kinsey and I kind of formed a pod and we did like movie nights in the backyard. Then I made them watch the entire Andy Sedaris filmography with me.
Holy shit.
And we started keeping a count of every scene one or a pair of boobs showed up in, and Kinsey called it the tit tally, and she has a list on her phone. So I asked her what was the tit tally for this movie, and it's 8.
That sounds about right.
The average for these movies is 12, and the most in any movie that we were able to count was Malibu Express at 22. So this is actually the low end of the boob range.
Okay.
I will note I did make notes on where the nudity happens, so I can
thank you.
Let people know as you're working through
I might have those in my notes, but generally in as an excuse for like I have no fucking idea what's going on, probably because everybody's tits were out in this scene again. But again, I don't think that's entirely on me. I do think there is some bad writing in this movie.
Yeah. It's the plot is inscrutable.
I would almost call it like directorial improv. Like they are clearly freewheeling in a way. This movie's basically impossible for me to get mad at in the conventional sense because as soon as it opened up on the fucking boat with her naked, I'm like, okay, I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I understand the mission here.
Strong establishing shot.
Yeah, we have not come here to try to examine the human condition, but rather the condition of the human, you know?
Yeah, no, he straight up writes these in less than a week. I've read interviews where he says that is not what the thing he spends time on for these films.
There's something about Andy Sedaris that is both like really lazy, but also like a lot of attention to detail. Like in the opening credits, there's a lot of names on crates. Like that's how they do the credits. Is they go through like this crate warehouse, and all of the the staff and crew are on these crates, but not stenciled on with spray paint. Like someone printed them off on brown paper and just taped them to the crate. It's like, buddy, this is like the start of something. Like it's just not quite there. And then the brown paper like ends up on forklifts and like clipboards, and you're like you have this idea and you just didn't quite follow through with it enough to be good. And that's how a lot of these scenes are, where instead of just getting into a plane and cutting to the next scene, they'll show her like checking her instruments, but they don't like perv out on her body or hit the right buttons. Like she's just hammering buttons. They're like, why do that insert shot? They had to totally set up a new camera, but for nothing, for no reason.
One of the things that is clearly like very important to Andy Sedaris is like transportation and showing characters being in fancy vehicles and going places.
Yeah.
And there's like long shots of it. Like
exactly.
Like characters driving somewhere, planes taxiing, planes taking off and then landing somewhere else. And it's like the things that you would be normally willing to be like, okay, they went somewhere else. He's like, no. Establishing shots. You need to know how it happened.
Yeah, these are how wing flaps work.
It's interesting. It's one of those things where there is a ton of energy and not a ton of effort. It's a very particular combination.
Yeah.
Lazy's the wrong word for it. Just unfinished is closer.
Yeah.
Also, like, he's just making a movie about the things he loves. And the things he loves are, like, airplanes, remote control vehicles, naked people.
Yeah. Frisbee. He's a diverse man.
The places he owns houses, which is, like, Hawaii, Dallas, Malibu, all these. His homes show up in these movies again and again. It's like...
incredible.
Yeah, you're right. He's doing the Adam Sandler thing.
He loves a high-waisted thong.
He likes those long butts, make him look like a...
We still haven't started the plot. Okay.
Oh, right, the plot, yeah.
So we open with a bikini makeout scene. It's great. Even the guy, he's in little Speedo bikini. Fantastic. So they're talking about a woman getting transferred to drug enforcement. But again, her tits are out, so I'm not quite sure. I'm also very distracted by their terrible chemistry. Like, it seems like everyone's spouses are on set watching them make out, and so they're like, no, honey, I hate this. I hate this.
Oh, that he's there, like, hands out to the side, like, no contact, no contact.
His movie, the love scenes in his movies are always like, it's like a fifth grade class collaborated on what they thought lovemaking looked like. Like, that's how he shoots they're not sensual or even remotely erotic.
It's like his sex drive. As soon as like the abs and the breasts are out, he's like, mission accomplished.
Good enough.
Yeah, done. That's how you bang.
No. Leave your pants on. It's fine.
The finest lovemaking I ever seen. Like, dude, we didn't even do anything. Her boob like rubbed against my shin. Yeah, that's third base. So there's these two cops that show up in a boat, and they leave their gun in the boat. They're like, oh, we do not need this gun. And so they leave it abandoned on the beach. And I was like, that's fucking weird. But again, he's thought of everything. He's like, we can't have these guys have a gun when they get to the bad guys. But instead of like just removing the gun from the script, they're like, how about we do an elaborate scene where they leave an unattended gun on a public beach?
Right.
It's like a plot version of like incriminating yourself on the stand or something. Like this gun is huge, by the way.
Yeah, it's like an elephant gun they brought to their like local beach patrol. They run into some guys with machine guns, and they're like, oh, we should get out of here. Go get the gun. They like trip over a rope and get pulled in like an Ewok snare trap, and then you just get shotgun murdered.
Like, it's so brutal too. Like normally Andy Sedaris violence is not. This movie's kind of gnarlier than most of his movies. Like they straight up blow two holes through these guys.
Yeah, like sadistic laughter as these two men are being murdered. Okay, so then the guy in the shades, his name is Shades. He says this line. I have no fucking idea what he was trying to say, and that's how they like hard cut intro to the credits. I'll play it for you.
The way to go. Run these two guys in their boat through the shredder and feed them to the fish.
What? Take the boat and the shredder and to the fish all the way up your butt. Bye. Like, what? Cut? Can we get maybe one coherent version of that?
I bet you, though, that was word for word what was written in the script for some reason.
Oh, for sure. No, nobody's going to ad-lib for Annie Sedaris.
I love the delivery. Like, everyone has just read the line
Yeah.
6 minutes ago.
Yep.
Yep.
Or they're reading it from a paper held up in front of them. The credits are funny too, because like a lot of the people get special credits. Like Kwan Hee Lim he's like, special appearance by Kwan Hee Lim, and I'm like, what? Who's that guy? Look him up. He's like a supporting cast member for Magnum PI.
Yeah, they were like, it's like,
dude, we really got him. We got Lim.
They're like, we got an hour in the warehouse. We may as well just like shoot all the names. There's tons of boxes. I don't know.
That's why I love. Like, what? No one knows what rules he's playing by. Like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's running on his own little, like, cinematic language here.
Yep.
But it's kind of cool. Like, the forklift pulls up, and you're like, oh, there's like a name on the box, and the camera pans up the forklift, and like, oh, there's another name on the forklift. It's cute.
Yep.
It's cute.
Oh, okay, so this movie has a weird way of bulldozing my inner cynic.
That's the magic in Andy Sedaris.
Mm-hmm.
And I started out with this whole thing like, this sequence is taking fucking forever. And halfway through, I'm like, okay, so you printed out everyone's name. That's kind of nice in a way for this like weird tropical vacation they took. I'm just very behind this movie existing, I guess.
That makes me really happy to hear it.
100%. Oh, there's a contaminated snake in the warehouse.
Contaminated snake.
Love it. It's such a great thing to be.
The most dangerous substance in the universe is a contaminated snake.
I feel like it's such a perfect Annie Sedaris, like, stakes, because what? But, like, you get it. Like, I know what that is. Wait, no, I don't. That's not a thing.
I think for a second he just considered, like, super venomous snake, and he said, no, cowardice.
No.
Triple down.
Contaminated. So it's got like a disease? Kind of. Not really.
Maybe.
Is it radioactive? No. Well, maybe. So we cut to the babes.
I think it's the only thing with off-screen kills in this movie, actually. Like, everything else gets, like, the shot reaction, fly through the air.
You know what's interesting about the snake that just occurred to me? It's kind of both the film's MacGuffin and main bad guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, nature is way tougher than drug fortresses in this movie. Like,
yeah.
It's like the one weakness of the main bad guy. Well, besides that he can't fight and his organization is a piece of shit. Okay, we'll get to
Yeah. Sorry.
So again, they're trying to do exposition with everyone's tits out. It's brilliant, but it's like also the opposite of its purpose. So I do not know what's happening. I genuinely, after watching the movie, probably was my third time. I definitely watched it a couple times with you. I don't know what everyone's jobs are. I think they're spies, but also they run like a cargo, like tourist
that's like
plane, but that's a cover, right?
All the movies always have like these female agents or like running a cover operation.
Okay.
And usually it's also its own very successful business for some reason. In this case, Donna and Taryn, Hope Marie Carlton, her character, are running Molokai cargo, where they're like ferrying things around while doing secret agent drug enforcement, whatever. But
there's a wonderful conversation here where Donna's talking. Taryn's in witness protection or something.
Yes, yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is like she's like somehow not really a federal agent, but still can kill with impunity, I guess.
Donna is just telling her, "You need to take your fitness more seriously," and they are basically clones. And it's kind of
they look identical.
The funny thing is, the entire time watching the scene, there are just nunchucks hanging off of the one that is supposed to be non-jacked. I think the way I am supposed to be staring at her ass, I'm just locked on these nunchucks. Like, what?
Yeah. There is a strong nunchuck presence in this movie that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
I see everything is very distracting. Like, there's a naked woman next to nunchucks talking about some really boring exposition. Like, that is a distant third place story. So the babes now have to deliver two things in this case. The honeymoon couple and a contaminated snake. But they don't know it's a contaminated snake. The forklift operator, like, accidentally knocked the contaminated sticker off. So they think it's just a regular snake.
And that really is just exactly what happens. That's not even a joke.
Amazing.
Also, I'm glad you mentioned Hope Marie Carlton. I looked her up on IMDb, and her description is this. I quote, "Extremely cute, slim and shapely blonde, sprite Hope Marie Carlton was born Hope Marie Rizzitano on March 3rd, 1966 in Riverhead, New York." And that's great. Wonderful description. Here's the description for Donna Spear, who plays Donna. "Shapely and statuesque blonde knockout Donna Spear was born on February 7th, 1964 in Norwalk, California." So I feel like Annie Sedaris wrote everybody's IMDb, which is adorable.
Yeah, maybe, actually. That might have been the case.
The voice does sound like his subconscious.
Yep. I got the perfect description for you, Toots.
Yeah,
Shapely
yeah.
and statuesque blonde knockout. Okay, Andy.
And then he pauses. He's like, no, I gotta
How about a
humanize
kiss?
them. Riverhead, New York. Bang. Everyone's got an origin. Everyone's got a story.
You know what I love about this movie is it does have an expository theme song. So I'm gonna play that right now.
Oh, wonderful.
This plays as they ferry the contaminated snake to the main island.
And the honeymoon couple.
Yes, and the honeymoon couple.
I'm gonna do with him, sorry. It's hard to get to Hawaii. It's not paradise all the time. It's hard to get. Beautiful.
It really is. Now I'm gonna let it play because I love this part here where it just sort of sounds like they stopped and cut to a different thing. Nope, same song. It's just not very good musically.
Still just a tracking shot of the airplane from various angles. Flying over legitimately beautiful Hawaii.
Absolutely.
But
Any
going
other
on
movie
a
that
long
you'd
time.
leave it in, but maybe not this long.
Yeah, it's a long.
I think this song could use another pass. Sorry, I got. Okay,
That
I
lyric,
think I
It's
eventually
not
stopped.
paradise all the time.
So good.
Ticket.
I like because Hard Ticket to Hawaii is a great title because I don't know what Hard Ticket is, but it sounds like this is probably what people called like a something tough like 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think he might have made it up. And also this theme song, it's like went a very different direction. This is a very happy theme song.
Yeah.
The words are about like the grime of Hawaii and how there's crime and violence, but you wouldn't know from the melody.
Or any of the movie, really.
Right.
As thoroughly timestamped as that song is, it just gets me thinking, it is so weird that, like, the height of an empire, like, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That is
That's
bonkers. Like, we have our, like, Hollywood, we have, like, that leitmotif for different empires. Like, you have the Roman, like, da-da-da-da, whatever kind of thing.
Mhm.
60 years from now, Beijing's hottest director is, like, adapting old fucking Scorsese films. It's all gonna fucking sound like that.
This is a wealthy man with unlimited means.
He was fairly rich, yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but we're like a half hour into this podcast and we just finished the theme song. And I want this podcast to go on for the rest of my life. I'm not trying to rush anybody.
You make a good point. We're going to be here a very long time. So we cut to Mr. Chang, who's out on a boat, and you picture what you think Mr. Chang looks like. No, you're wrong. It's an old British man. I don't know what happened. Maybe Mark, do you know? You have his coffee table book.
I do have his coffee table book. There was no explanation for this, although they drop an explanation at the very, very end of the movie when they go up to his penthouse to murder him.
Okay.
There's some 80-yard exposition where they talk about how his mother was Chinese and his father was British. It's like It's like barely mentioned before they throw him out a window. Spoiler alert.
He took the mother's name.
Yes, apparently.
Okay.
Unless I got that backwards. I don't know.
Yeah, they go through a whole, like, always from Hong Kong and, international.
Yeah. But he's just a white guy. Let's be real.
Yeah. He's like from the wrong era. He's like an old British guy who's like, oh, very well. Like he feels like he should be running an African safari or something. It feels like 120 years out of date.
2 movies later, he made Do or Die with Pat Morita.
Okay.
So why didn't he just get Pat Morita to play Dr. Chang? If the guy had to be called Dr. Chang.
Yeah, because of course, Pat Morita, famously Chinese.
I'm just, that's how that era worked.
Yeah, no, I would get it.
Look, we're drawing random cards for Mr. Chang here. We might as well just get, like, Mr. T at this point, swing for home.
Now you're
Mr.
talking.
Chang, sucker.
Though then, like, the last fight would be, like, 10 minutes long, so, like...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it could use. So Mr. Chang has an awesome remote control helicopter because that's what the director likes.
Every single Andy Sedaris movie has at least one remote control vehicle that does something. Usually it blows somebody up. In this case,
and
Not,
it rules.
but every
In this
movie.
case, it's smuggling in contraband. And they give a lot of lip service to why they're doing this, even though go ahead and smuggle whatever you're smuggling. I get this. This is a cool little thing you're doing. It lands, and no lip service is paid to how the fuck he can land this without a line of sight.
Also, it happens to land right near Donna and Taryn.
Yes.
They talk to each other as though they've never seen a helicopter in their lives.
Right.
What is that thing?
Could
What
have
is
been
it
a
doing?
flying saucer the way they treated it.
A 4-year-old would say, wow, cool remote control helicopter.
Yeah.
It's 1987. It's not the fucking dawn of man.
Yeah, they were like describing it like cavemen would describe it to each other as it's landing.
That was a good point about the exploding thing, by the way, because I was so hard-coded to think like, oh, this thing is a grenade.
Yeah.
Most of the time it is.
As they drew closer, I thought, oh, are we doing like a fake-out hero thing here? Which the movie does do that, but not to these two, and I kind of appreciate that about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the babes see the remote control helicopter, and they are like, oh, let's go investigate this. And then they take out the contraband because the bad guys are just a little bit late showing up on their recreational vehicles.
The guy on the quad looks like he's trying to hold in a shit the entire time. Like he looks like he's so barely in control of that vehicle.
I thought he was just overacting, but yeah, you're right. There's probably an intestinal issue. But they shoot at the ladies and they miss, and the ladies are like fucking spring into action, and they just throw like debris at them. I don't even know what they throw.
There were ninja stars in there.
Yeah, Donna pulls a ninja star out,
Okay, fuck yeah.
which she then retrieves from his body before
Yes.
running away.
And then they steal their nunchucks, but not their guns. If I'm understanding it correctly.
Yeah, yes.
And they panic. They're like, shit, we knocked these guys down. We got to get the fuck out of here. They get back on their plane and leave. I actually have what the villains say as they're leaving.
Jerry, who were those broads? Oh, east. Don't let them get away. Don't let them get away. Damn it, there they go. We gotta get the stuff out of the chopper, man. Oh, man, it's gone. You took the boxes. Take it down. Here. What are we gonna do?
I dread facing Seth empty-handed.
Yeah.
Something you guys will notice about all exposition is that this could easily be a radio play.
Yep.
Or a high school play.
Or a high school play. Everything is declared out loud 2 times in case you miss it because someone is full frontal or exploding the entire time.
Right. I think as we're about to prove, this could also be a 4-hour podcast. I think I'm really looking forward to adapting.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I am in my notes. I'm having a great time.
So they just took off. Where are we?
Oh,
Yeah,
the girls get the
diamond-
snake. And I have in my
Okay,
notes
yes.
that they pull out like a little children's book about snakes. Not like, hey, this snake, you got to do this and this. It's like, this is a fucking children's book where it says like snakes on the front, and it like describes the basic concept of snakes. And they're reading it like they're star travelers. They're like,
Yeah, it definitely came from the local library.
snakes eat food for snakes. They are made of snake.
And meanwhile, the kid's cutting to the snake, and it's just this like ichor dripping hand puppet covered in like cankers. It's amazing
awesome.
looking.
Yeah, this thing just like
Fucking-
escaped from Labyrinth and it's just stalking this island
Jim Henson's
adventure.
nightmare.
I, at this point, paused the movie to look up some other actors in the movie, and I found one named Patty Dufek. She was described on IMDb as lovely, busty, and shapely brunette stunner Patty Dufek was born on August 27th, 1963 in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles, California. That's pretty...
Andy Sedaris totally wrote these.
Yeah. Oh, look, I have another one. Cynthia Brimhall. Gorgeously voluptuous, buxom, and shapely knockout. Cynthia Brimhall was born on March 10th, 1964 in Ogden, Utah. So a lot of variation in the cast.
Yeah.
I'm
got babes
trying
from all
to
over.
peg those descriptions to like a specific Playboy model in this.
Yeah.
Those two, it's impossible.
Cynthia Brimhall is Edie.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
And the other one, I don't remember who she is. I think she must have just been like a bit role.
I think she was Patty Cakes.
Is that the one that's in the locker room?
I don't know. My notes have like, they're identified by their hair usually. I think that's
Yes.
why Donna and Terrence say their names so often, because they both have blonde hair. They're like, otherwise we never know which.
Get confused.
So we also meet Andy Sedaris. He put himself in the movie.
He frequently does.
Let me just play a clip here.
Charlotte, thank goodness you've decided to come. Charlotte, I'm not just some fast-talking New York television director. I care for you a great deal. Trust me, Charlotte.
You practically raped me last night.
That was last night, Charlotte. This is today. I care for you, Charlotte. I care for your mind. I don't care about your body anymore. I'm not into that.
May I help you?
So he's looking at tits here.
I'll have a pair of coffee.
Just let that hang. Just like pause for laughter. So this is pretty bold to put yourself in your own movie and you'd be like, hi, I play a rapist named Whitey.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
Wow. Really on the nose.
For a movie as horned up as this, it's really great to see what its like picture of a pervert is.
Yes.
Yes. The way he paints himself into that role is, I don't know. It didn't age well, that's for sure.
And then there's the restaurant host who can't go 45 seconds without just a full-on lawsuit.
Yeah,
literally the worst character that's ever existed. It's like
any other movie, that guy would be torn apart at the end just to satisfy audiences.
Yeah, because they would be so gratifying to see.
I thought he was going to turn out to be, I don't know, like a dealer of double cocaine to children or something.
Right.
The way they were.
Yeah, you expected a heel turn at some point, but no, he's
everybody's
just an
best
asshole.
friend.
Who somehow gets to keep his job despite being a horny lech.
We also meet Seth, who's played by Rodrigo Obregon. They break the bad news to him that his diamonds are missing. And remember earlier, he's like, I dread facing Seth empty-handed. Yeah. So the consequences of that are Seth is like, oh shit, you lost all of our priceless diamonds that we smuggled in. And he says to them, if brains were bird shit, you'd have a clean cage. And then they go. Like, that's it. Those are the consequences of disappointing Seth.
Yeah, not a big deal at all. And that's like, I feel like this section of the movie is just all the jokes Andy Sedaris heard in the last year that he could fit into the script.
Yeah. He will see a t-shirt and be like, oh, that's good. I'll have one of my gunfighters say that next explosion.
He is a Jersey boardwalk connoisseur.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's this perfectly preserved museum of all of these lines. The oral sex one is stuck in my head forever.
Yeah.
Oh God! Right.
I may have taken a clip of one of those.
Oh, bet.
The ladies now discover they have diamonds. They're in a hot tub. They're just having a topless hot tub.
Is where you would want to open the contraband to make sure you didn't lose anything. Is inside of the hot tub.
I was gonna say this was more distracting than the naked ladies because they're like wrestling over these diamonds. And I'm like, you're gonna drop the diamonds. It's gonna be lost forever. It's gonna be stuck in a hot tub filter. That's like you're gonna drop like $15,000 in a hot tub filter.
There had been enough physical comedy up to this point where I was like legitimately wondering, like, are we gonna do like a dude where's my car, like diamonds down the drain thing here? Like, is this right?
Yeah. Because why else? I mean, well, the reason why is because at this point the tit tally is now 4.
Oh, good. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
And that's a lot for this era. Like, this was like, God, what was I, like 11 years old when this movie came out. So that would have been a time when finding a movie with tits in it would have been a real special occasion. And if I got 2 tits in a movie, I'd be like, that's a fantastic 10 out of 10 film. So Andy Sedaris,
he delivers.
Like, understands the 1987 11-year-old.
Yes, 100%. Before I knew who Andy Sedaris was, I knew who he was because my parents had Cinemax.
Right. And this is a jackpot Cinemax movie because those are the movies I'm talking about. You'd watch Cinemax and it would say brief nudity in the credits and you're like, oh, hell yes.
You just do that fist pump out
see like a side boob and a strip bar B-roll and you're like, all right, I guess that was it. God damn it.
I remember thinking when they come out with the first safari kind of costume, just thinking, you will never see this top in a movie again, right? Like, because we'll totally go more revealing everything, but we will never pretend that this one thing is like a functional choice.
It's the most amazing outfit ever. It's like a khaki button-up top that's mostly open, rolled up khaki shorts, and then cowboy boots and nunchucks.
It's like more naked than naked. Like if she just walked out butt naked, you'd be like, okay, you don't have clothes on, but like. I say this sometimes that there's some outfits you can wear that's just like more distractingly naked than just regular human body.
Yeah, it's like an Aeon Flux like skin suit kind of thing.
Right.
In real life.
Totally.
Let's see. So this is where we see Andy's other movies posters on the wall and where they talk about it. I just could not believe they get pointed out. But also that like it stars their friend. Like the movie within the movie stars the friend from the last, and it's just like my fucking mind. It can't take these layers, Andy Sedaris.
He's the The guy who was in Malibu Express is the cousin of someone else for some reason. They mention offhand in the movie.
Why not?
Yeah, they're trying to do like a world building thing, I guess. Like that.
Yeah, there's a cinematic universe,
unified cinematic Andy Sedaris universe. The bad guys cut their cable line, not their phone line. They cut their coax cable. There's a guy with pantyhose on his head. He comes in and grabs Donna, and the whole time this guy looks like he wants to die. Like the actor kind of has sort of a James Dean like face, so his like eyebrows are always turned up, and something about pantyhose put over a face like that. He just looks like he's suffering every second.
The way it's smashing his nose down and he can't talk totally clearly, like it gives him kind of a weird mumbly lisp, and he really looks like he hated doing that scene. He also just has this look of like you ever look at someone and you're just like, you must be an asshole, like you've never talked to them or anything. This guy looks like an asshole.
Exactly. A perfect asshole. He has a funny way of holding a knife too. He has to threaten people with knives several times in the movie, but he holds it up like directly vertical, like he's just sort of showing someone his cool knife. I don't know. It's already a knife. It shouldn't, but he somehow makes it less menacing with his body language. Anyway, I have his threat.
I am so happy you recorded this line because this is like the weirdest threat I've ever heard.
It makes me so happy.
She got the diamond! One box.
If you want to live, you better come up with the other box now.
You won't kill us. We're the only ones who know where the diamonds are.
You tell us, but you wish you were dead. For relief.
My brain. For relief. Oh, and he just looks like he's fucking dying. Like he just looks like he's like, Andy, shoot it, I got 40 seconds of air.
I can only imagine one of two extremes with this dude. Like either he has never touched or thought about a camera before he got the favor of being in this movie, or he's like a lifelong, like sort of head up his ass kind of thespian guy. Like, I'm above this proletarian trash.
I would believe both. Either actually seems plausible.
But he's just out of his element.
Yeah. He has no idea what's going on. He had a pretty extensive IMDb career. Like he was in all the Andy Sedaris movies, and then he had like some other small roles and things. So he was like a working actor for a while.
Wow.
Which is weird. But yeah. I mean, he's an attractive guy. Yeah,
like I say, he kind of has a James Dean look. Like if James Dean had like a shitty cousin, you're like, okay.
But you would be like, oh, that's James Dean's shitty cousin. Like, look at him.
Sure.
At some point during that ruckus where they broke in the house, they knocked over the snake crate.
Right. And that like is Rodrigo's weakness. He sees the snake and he's like, what the fuck, that snake? And he starts shooting at it.
Freaks out.
And he is like fucked up for a while. And he's like just paralyzed. He saw a snake and he's like, and so the girls run out and shoot him in the face while he's paralyzed in snake fear.
It is the earliest defanging I have seen of a movie villain. Like,
yep. They just cut his nuts right off.
And it's a really good stunt because, like, he throws himself back into the car door in a really, like, believable way. Like, in a way where I was like, man, that looked like that hurt. Like, he really had to sell that in. I was impressed.
Probably wasn't on purpose. He probably just hadn't tried that before. So we find out now that the snake is not radiated or filled with disease. What it has, and I quote, it has deadly toxins from cancer-infested rats. He just got into a lab and ate a bunch of infected rats, and that's what's contaminated the snake. I don't think you have to be a genius to know that that's not like how cancer spreads.
If it was a comic book, you'd be like, this snake is contaminated.
Absolutely.
I remember hearing that line and thinking, of all the times for like no one to be naked, like to try to sneak one by, this is the tidbit you drop. Fully clothed, nothing exploding.
Yeah, just close up on a crusty old guy talking about a cancer-full snake. Yeah.
Looking great.
So let's see. The maitre d' offers the ladies a seat on his face. That's a real thing. This is kind of where I know that Andy Sedaris can't fuck. Because this is written by someone who thinks the farthest you can get with a woman is when they politely tolerate your harassment. Like, Andy Sedaris has never, like, met a woman and said a thing to the woman and she's like, oh, I'm interested in hearing more that you have to say. Like, he talks like a 1960s like construction worker. And that really shows in the script that, oh, this is how guys and ladies talk. Hey, Toots, show me your tits. And then she doesn't say anything because she loves it. And then you go on with the rest of your day. That's how men and women interact.
Then, you get this envelope from a lawyer, you throw the envelope out, it works itself out.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a real pre-Me Too moment in cinema.
Would it have stopped this man? Would he have stopped once people started getting in trouble? I think he goes to his, like, sexual harassment Valhalla.
I have thought for a long time about, like, could an Andy Sedaris exist today? And I don't think so, for, like, a lot of reasons that I won't get into. But
I think he could, but, like, this type of interaction, I think, would be taken out of the movie. But also, I think Andy Sedaris is the kind of guy who would have leaned into it, been like, oh, you can't cancel me. This is what people want. And then his movies would have been, like, explicitly, like, right-wing Nazi propaganda.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Totally.
Two sucker, two punch.
Yeah.
Could I have one quote I want to...
Two sucker, two punch.
I've got one dumbass quote I wanted to... And by dumbass, I mean, I'm mentally bifurcated. You get my attitude. You go down on her, you'll be kissing the back of my head. Pause. You already get the joke. You understand the full content of the joke.
Yep.
Because I'm already gonna be there.
Well, here, I have the clip. We can hear that there's a follow-up to that follow-up.
I believe you met these two and the beautiful young lady that brought them here tonight?
Okay, guy.
Hey, Whitey, you go down on her, you're going to be kissing the back of my head because I'm already going to be there. I think you know what I mean. Yeah, really.
I'll give you all the sports segments you can handle.
Taryn.
Okay.
Hi, Whitey.
Hey, baby.
Right?
That's the thing I mentioned earlier. I just left it in there to show that it just goes from one to another. Like,
just every joke just kind of limps out the door.
Yep, lecherous thing. So what do we got here? They're being watched by the bartender with a suspicious amount of makeup. And then we meet like one of our other hunks, and he's a weird vitamin guy. So he's like listing basically the labels you'd find on vitamins.
And was that a joke?
It has to be, because it ends with
it goes on for several minutes.
Yeah, it'll get you that green yellow urine that will earn you the respect in every restroom in the world. Like, it has to be. He must think that's funny. But
it felt like he was going for like his real footage for the movie from this monologue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure,
Yeah. He's like, Andy, you got to give me a scene where I can like just really chain together a lot of interesting facts, really act it up. One of my favorite low-key moments in the movie is like the response to this. There's a white guy and a Hawaiian guy, and the white guy says, man, to this, he says, man, I sure love soul food. And then he takes a little scoop of a milkshake, and then the Hawaiian goes, right on, bro. This is not a soul food restaurant. Neither of them are holding soul food. No one's discussing soul food. I love it so much. It's so fucking weird.
This part of the movie feels like you could have shaved 20 minutes out of this movie by just not shooting almost all the shots inside of Edie's. But it's also spawns a couple of the weird subplots that wind up wending their way through the movie that you don't notice the first 6 times you watch it. So maybe it's important to Andy. I don't know.
There's like this whole sexual harassment Cheers thing that's going on here.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe this bar. And it's funny you mentioned like the plot here, because this is when I wrote down that like the babes call the hunks back home, and it's like they aggressively do not advance the plot. In fact, they kind of slow things down by recapping some things, and I'm like, what is this movie doing?
Yeah.
It's like when everyone has their shirts on, you realize like this is a real thin plot.
Yeah. Like there's definitely like times where he went too far between either someone exploding or people being nude. And that was a mistake.
So, okay, the other hunks, they now come to Hawaii, I guess to fight the diamond smugglers, not the snake. The snake is just like this bonus hard ticket.
This is what I mean. It's the MacGuffin and the main bad guy.
Yes. They drive up and there's a guy doing a handstand on a skateboard. And they go, man, he must be smoking some heavy doobies, which is like, that's good drug talk. That's how drug talk works. And it turns out he's a bad guy. It's going to sound like, if you haven't seen this movie, it's going to sound like I'm making this up. But they pull up in a little Subaru that has had the back sawed off and replaced with a little tiny truck bed. There's a sex doll in the passenger seat.
These are both the bad guys who had to report to Seth that they got away with the diamonds, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. God, what happens? They drive by and they shoot our good guys.
I thought a lot about this scene over the years. So he does they're driving in the Jeep through this like wildlife preserve for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
The guy goes past them on a skateboard doing a handstand, like, whoa, that guy's crazy. He gets in the back of that weird little Subaru thing with the sex doll. They drive past the Jeep again. They watch them drive past.
Yes.
They go apparently out of sight over the hill. He gets back out with the skateboard, the sex doll, and a gun.
Yes.
And now he is skateboarding back towards the Jeep.
The entire time I'm seeing this scene, I've got weird associations. Because one, it's like a whole freestyle skater thing to be like doing the skateboard handstand thing, right? If you want to, like, I don't know, tear your palms open on grip tape or whatever.
Yeah.
And because I'm also a moron, I really associate that maneuver with Steve-O.
Okay.
And just various grievous bodily injury videos over the years.
Yeah.
And then he pulls out a sex doll, which is pretty much the second most Steve-O thing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So now this is a crossover special.
That's a fascinating peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
It's a Jackass spinoff.
And then he dies screaming and exploding. So I'm like, 3 for 3. Yeah, 3 for 3. This has been a Steve-O guest spot.
Maximum Steve-O
and
scene.
the death is really worth dwelling on because so he shoots at the Jeep. He hits, I don't remember his name, Jade, the guy who usually has his shirt open. They grab a rocket launcher out of a trunk in the back of the Jeep. Mm-hmm. They back into the guy as he's doing like a 720 on a skateboard. For some reason. Knocks him into the air. They shoot him with the rocket launcher. He explodes. He turns. The sex doll is falling out of the air. He shoots that with the rocket launcher, and it explodes. And it is
an
one
artistic
of the coolest
choice
things I've
you
ever
can't
seen.
argue with. Yes, it is.
You cannot it is a thing you can never unsee once you've seen it.
It comes from a place of childlike idiocy that I think a lot of adults can't access.
Yeah, it's a special thing that he can bring up. Like you and I would not spend tens of thousands of dollars of someone else's money to put that on film.
The fuck we wouldn't. The fuck we wouldn't.
I'm just going to be real with you.
No,
I would see that written down and I'm like, there's no way we're actually going to shoot this scene.
I would call that
no way.
Lifetime goal of mine. I think I would brag about it forever. I wouldn't do it this casually 40 minutes into the movie and sort of forget it happens.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't be able to like let it lie like that. Like I would be so proud of how silly I was being. But Annie Sedaris just like, okay, fucking end of scene, cut.
Yeah,
great.
next.
You blew up the sex doll.
If I ever came up with that, it would have to be what's that? It's that Black Dynamite scene. Seanbaby can do the voice actually. Like I threw that shit from before I walked into the room or whatever.
Yes, I'd love to do the Black Dynamite voice. Everyone appreciates.
That might be a problem. Okay. Yeah.
I know it's a trap. I see your trap, Dennard. I will not step in it.
All right, so yeah, maybe no Michael Jai White from that corner today, but I would be willing to stake parts of my life and
I do,
reputation.
Dennard, if I'm being honest, I do say I threw that shit before I came in the room all the time.
It is like that kind. It is that kind of level of like nuttery in my head.
The honeymooners are out there, the ones they dropped off to go camping. They're taking sexy Polaroids. They're like, "Oh, hey, you look great, honey." Snake attack, just like out of nowhere. The contaminated snake like kills them both.
And when we see them later, holy shit, are they dead?
Yeah, like they get like the snake ate them and shit them out. Like they have been.
It's like again, actually disgusting in a way Andy Sedaris movies usually aren't. Like he took a bunch of like gross shit and piled it up and put a bikini on it and then let crabs walk all over it. It's horrific.
It's so bad.
It's got this crazy grindhouse quality to it when like these two bikini models in pretty much their bikini uniform, like they are in their work clothes from real life,
right?
Come across these two corpses and the tone of the movie breaks for a second because
it's actually horrible. Yeah, it's like almost looks like a Faces of Death like shot. Yeah. It's like disgusting. Anyway, we're jumping.
It's also kind of funny because this is beyond their acting abilities, so it sort of hits that other tone of like, oh, this is a bad movie, whereas the rest of the movie is kind of an awesome movie.
Whenever Donna Spear gets really worked up, she like her voice cracks in this kind of like smoker voice way that I find really like fun and appealing, but also it's exactly that. It's just like, oh, you've like broken your range.
Right. It's out of her speaking range. The script is out of her vocal range.
Yeah.
Ponytail Hunk is now coming out of the doctor, and I have this in my notes because he has a patch on his heart. He was shot directly in the fucking human heart, and he's just fine.
It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
He is just not worried about the events of this movie.
Yeah. It's fine.
No concern. There's a redhead agent now. That's Edie, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Cynthia Brimhall. By the way, when she changes, and my wife pointed this out, I would like to say, not me. I didn't notice it, but when she puts her pants on, she gives herself the gnarliest camel toe I've ever seen in my entire life.
You were distracted by the nunchucks. You forgot to look at the human genitals.
My wife literally gasped, and we had to like back the disc up and look at it again.
I guess like she added that to her stunt reel, and then she got the lead in Guns.
Yeah.
So now the bartender from earlier with the suspicious amount of makeup goes into the locker room, and a woman comes up to her, and she's like in her underpants only, talking about her tits. You got to do workouts to get your tits great. And this goes on for like 40 seconds of her giving her like titty workout tips.
Oh, by the way, this brings the tally to 7. I've been forgetting to mention.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we're coming in on the end of the boobs.
Yeah, she goes into this like boob monologue as if there's like a bench press count that could do what science has clearly done for this woman. Like I don't know.
Yeah, like a thigh master for your breasts.
Yeah.
Yes. This person did not ask for titty tips, and it's sort of a preloaded joke because as soon as she leaves, she rips off her wig and starts peeling off the makeup, and this is just a random middle-aged man. But this is 1987, so this is a sinister twist, not like someone living their truth, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that's the joke, is that she was talking about titty fitness tips to someone with no titties.
Ha ha
ha ha.
They were very excited for that one. I think it's one of the only times I ever let myself get tripped up on plot, because I was trying to figure out what this cover. He also already has a plant in the bar, so I don't even know what.
Yes,
that's a good point. There's really no reason to have gone undercover as a woman.
In fact, it's kind of a hassle, because when he takes off all his makeup and he runs out and he gets in the van, and then they run off, they're chasing the babe. So all this cold cream, all this wiping of the makeup off was like holding him up to the pursuit. Like they're trying to get this woman that left.
It's like 5 extra minutes to get changed.
Run back there, change identities completely, undo all that. I don't think it was worth like the 90 minutes of his morning routine to do this.
He should have just committed to like the Bangkok knockout kind of gimmick and just done all the action scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
Well, I mean, when you're doing an abduction, you do not want to be wearing a disguise, right? Like you want to. They're going to abduct a woman.
Just be your normal, like what it looks like on your photo identification.
Exactly. So again, probably would have been a better idea to leave the makeup on if you're going to go abduct someone, not just for speed, but just for disguise purposes.
For disguise, for the trial, Yeah.
So Mere Sunglasses guy, we see shades. He's tossing the Frisbee around with his Uzi, and you can tell he just fucking loves Frisbee. Like every opportunity he can, he turns it into a super sweet catch. And I can kind of relate to this because when I was a kid, I also loved Frisbee and Uzis. So as far as I'm concerned, he's the movie's hero.
And people keep talking about it. They call it like throwing. He's a thrower. These people take their throwing seriously.
I do have a clip of that because that was real like duets to me, which is a movie, a Paul Giamatti movie and Andre Braugher, Huey Lewis. It's an all-star cast where they talk about karaoke, but they make an entire new language based on karaoke. And that's what happened here, just about Frisbee for just 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
Jamie, cut the 45 minutes I talked about duets. Thanks, Jamie. We got to keep this shit tight today. So
they were staking out Seth's.
Yes,
because Shades is outside of Seth's. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then they just go to the sumo zone, and I am once again kind of just in the movie's flow.
They see Edie having been kidnapped while staking it out. Right. Okay. I actually forgot about that part. Yes.
And Edie recognizes the guy because he lives as a woman in her friend's bar. She's like, something about that dude is familiar. Then they stop at the sumo house, and there's just a training pit. They're like, we got to use the phone of this normal house, and it's not a normal house. It's a sumo training camp. And then Taryn's like, I know foreign languages, so she goes in and speaks very bad Spanish about how they need to use the phone.
I gotta admit, it's not funny.
Yeah,
but it is like extremely cute, and I don't know why. Like her reaction at the end when they just stare at her is like adorable.
Yeah, it is adorable, and they really make a meal out of it. I think the dedication to it is what makes it work.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they just bother to play like the whole joke out in slow motion. It's like this thing they know you have heard.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as she says like, I know Japanese, I could see ahead in time. Like I've grown this superpower for this one scene.
Yeah, there are a couple directions she could have got the wrong Asian country, but that'd be like racist, not funny. But then Spanish is like, okay, that's cartoonishly stupid, still not funny, but like So anyway, I think they made the right choice.
It's like, yeah, you've ended up in more in like the sort of like Tasmanian devil zone with the...
Yeah. Yes. I speak your language, sumo wrestlers.
Oh, man.
So Donna figured out the guy was the girl from the bar because of the cigarette in his left hand and his pinky ring. That's her quote. She spotted that during a kidnapping at 400 yards, which is fucking solid detective work.
Using a Sony Handycam as like as a telescope.
The yellow video camera,
which
every
is
shot of that, it gives
the
me...
sickest video camera that has ever existed.
Yeah.
Hell
I think
yeah.
it's so cool.
I just kind of draw a life force from the shot. She looks so seriously into it.
Yep. God, and we still have to deal with the snake. So they run into the dead bodies, and there's a Polaroid camera in the dead body's hand, and they like get the picture out, and they like shake it, develop it, and you're like, it's gonna be the snake. And then sure enough, it's a beautiful little portrait of the snake. And I'm like, this fucking movie's the best. This fucking movie's the best. It's not like lunging at the camera like, here's POV of a guy being killed. It's like the snake school picture. Yeah, it's his 3rd grade class picture.
Oh yeah, it's got the little like Catholic school tie and the little fuzzy blue vest.
He's all dressed up. Oh, he looks so fancy.
It's like fucking Kurt Hiss's childhood photos. It's kind of wonderful.
And then there's another moment I like where one of the secret agents works as like a sportscaster, and he's like, I'm here with some football fellows, and he's like, hey, during that one play, and then he just reads off like a fucking encyclopedia entry on what football plays are, like some real I've never fucking heard of football playing writing. The football players respond with just some real racial black-coded language written by Andy Sedaris, who, I remind you, is literally playing a character named Whitey. So Whitey wrote this scene, which includes the N-word. I don't know. I guess I have no rhetorical authority to make fun of this.
But isn't that the fun, like playing the roulette with modernity? Like, oh, let's find out if I still have like still have like an existence tomorrow after I say this.
Roulette with modernity is a really great way to put it.
It's kind of a bonkers scene. It's almost blink if you miss it. I got really tied up on the football too because so much of this movie is inside baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling just the random skateboard shots that he included that either he or the performer even sort of gave a shit about that. But he was just coming to the football joke completely blind because his vision for this, what was it, niggas go intercept them thing is so locked into his head, which, is that even the stereotype? Like, I feel like the running back thing is like this.
I think it was like, I'm going to throw it to you, and then white people, you keep them from, it was like a real basic idea of football. Like, I'm going to throw it to the black people, and the white people keep the defensive line from tackling me.
As he went through it, I kept on expecting, like, some of him to say something like grand slam or field goal, or there's, like, other sports, like, trickle into this thing, like.
But here's what's wild about it. This man produced Super Bowls. He, like, made a documentary about football, apparently, at some point. Interviews with, so he, like, these must have been, I think these were real football players, because he definitely had inroads into that world. That's where he made a lot of his money.
Okay.
It's weird that it came off that inept.
It was a real failure because obviously what he wanted here was the sportscaster speaks very academically about football. Like, yes, blah, 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 blah. He didn't know how to write that, so he didn't. It was just babbling word soup.
Yeah.
And then the other person was supposed to have just a real basic understanding. Despite being the player, he's going to have a real basic understanding, blah, blah, blah. It was beyond his means.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to pull like a beast mode joke from the future.
Yeah, yeah. And yet, this little cul-de-sac of a moment, we spent like 10 minutes thinking about it.
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of duets.
You know, I thought you had some interesting points in like the third half hour on duets.
I agree. I think we got to cut all that, Jamie. Again, we got to cut all the duet stuff. The sportscaster's like, oh, hey, we got to cut all this like racist like football talk, and we'll have you talk to a lady tennis player. And he's like, and I quote, she's so dumb she went home early to study for the pap test. And that's just like shit that gets woven into the dialogue, like these terrible misogynistic joke books like Andy Sedaris got from Easy Writers magazine or wherever the fuck.
I need to find this warehouse of t-shirts that he is drawing from like the fucking Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, Carly said there's no way this man actually knows what a passport is.
Is there a thing, because fucking Vince Russo is on this, is there just a thing against a particular female like tennis player at this point? I guess
yeah, there must have been.
He has some weird internal vendetta he had on it. Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, is there an incident that I like? Is this like a Janet Jackson Super Bowl thing where we just all joked about it for 5 years and everyone pretended no one said anything?
I might be off by like a full decade, but there was that like male versus female tennis match that was pretty famous. I feel like that was.
Okay, that could be that.
And I feel like if you're like an insecure guy, that would have been an issue you had.
Right. Yeah.
That's just in your psyche. Like, he lost it for all of us.
Now we have to kill ourselves, guys. We get information now the snake is going to die in 36 hours. So I guess that's going to wrap itself up.
We're probably done talking about the snake now. That probably won't come back up again.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Edie's now in the evil base, which is probably Andy's vacation home. She's tied up to like one rope, like on a pulley. It's weird. The James Dean guy comes in and shows her his little knife, cutely. And the back of the good guy base, they're making plans to rescue her. But first, they have a cocktail. They're like just sharing some drinks.
There's a table covered in guns, and I counted 5 pairs of nunchucks.
So awesome.
Of a variety of colors.
Well, obviously, the plan was that at least 2 of them had to Michelangelo it at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so, at least. And then they had a backup pair, like a drummer keeps next to his kit, and he drops a stick.
The most fucking blue ball nunchuck movie. Like, there's not a single nunchuck fight.
The only time anyone ever uses them, they're holding both of them and just hitting them with like...
Just kind of bonking, like, just pick up a rock. You fucking don't even know how to use nunchucks. It's 1987. How do you not know how to use nunchucks? Fucking...
Yeah, I think they like take your like citizenship if you can't like at least do like the Bruce Lee under the shoulder thing, you know?
Just one behind the back. Like, you don't have to keep doing it.
Yeah. The bad guy base, they're preparing for battle too. There's a buff babe who's just posing with nunchucks, not like working the nunchucks, just like holding them up while she like makes sexy poses. See, the good guys, they're getting drunk. One guy has a bullet hole in his heart, and the bad guys are ready for anything. Fucking Ninja Turtles.
She's learning the blade.
She's learning the blade. They're prepared.
I mistook this movie for a different one. I was like, oh, she was an American Gladiator.
No, that's Day of the Warrior.
It was a different movie. Yeah, Day of the Warrior. But he did have gladiators on.
Do you know I have my copy of Day of the Warrior is autographed? You had to know that, right?
No.
There was a local wrestling show where Buff Bagwell was here, and I got in line behind like 15 little kids getting their WCW action figures signed, and I just hand over a VHS copy of Day of the Warrior, and he just looks at it, and he just goes, "Oh wow."
That's incredible. That's a powerful artifact.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's a
magic. It radiates magic.
that would get like open gates. That entire it's like a bikini show bodybuilding routine she's basically doing up there.
It's so good.
Yeah, she's all oiled up and it's cool. I guess she was a bodybuilder though.
And again, this is spoilers. She does not get in a fight later. She does not use the nunchucks later. She is gone from this movie in a way that I found extremely frustrating.
There was no payoff for her being huge or good with nunchucks.
Yes.
I felt a little disappointed on the behalf of like 12-year-old me who would have seen like sexy Shao Kahn, and that would have really just have dug its way into my personality in uncomfortable ways for at least like 10 years.
Yeah.
It would have informed the direction of your sexuality.
Yeah, like I would have
more than you care to admit.
My entire dating history would just be attempts to like gravitate towards this point.
Like on the 3rd or 4th date, you're like, tonight maybe let's do something special. Like maybe hold these nunchucks.
You like creatine?
Yeah, everybody's got some kinks. I wouldn't say my kink's weird, but I just need you to hold these nunchucks. So the good guys are there watching like secret footage of Shades playing frisbee, and this is great. This is good recon. And then but one of them says, "Good, I can use that." That's fucking hell yes. He's playing frisbee, and you're like, "Fuck, that's all I need to kill a man."
I'll turn it against him. His one passion.
It's so good.
So now the good guys again, they're hatching their breakout scheme. Yes, I have a clip of some more lovemaking, some more sweet talk.
I don't want to control your life. All I want to do is suck the polish right off your toes.
Notice she's not saying anything back. Still nothing. Still nothing. And nothing. That's what Andy Sedaris thinks sex is. You say something horrible to a woman, and then she looks at you.
There's 2 lines from this lovemaking scene that I love so much. So the first one, they keep cutting back to the room with all the weapons where Taryn and Jade are hanging out. They're just hanging out. They have some weird joke about drinking vodka straight. That doesn't make any sense. Donna Spears kneeling naked in front of him, sitting in a chair, and he is making these like horrible loud moaning noises, but it's unclear what she could possibly be doing to him that he would be enjoying right now. It
sounds like a beluga whale getting a hand job. Like, I'm trying to...
Yeah.
But she's just
really accurate.
I mean, like, is she playing with his belly button? Like,
I thought for sure... I've seen this movie before, and I still thought for sure they're going to, like, make a reveal that she's, like, popping his knee back into place or something. But no.
Yeah.
She's really, like, doing something sexual to him. We just don't understand what it could be. Like, nobody's holes or hands are in the right spot to do anything you or I would know as sex.
There's no receptacles.
Yeah.
There's no. So the thing she says that blows my mind is she goes, "Do you want to keep it down?" And he goes, "No, I like it like that." And her response is, "I know that. I know that." Like,
no, come on.
Almost defensively.
We talked about this.
Like, and then after that, they kiss for a little bit, and Carly described it as giraffes kissing, which I thought was really accurate. Like, there was a lot of like prehensile lip.
Yeah, a
stuff.
lot of chin biting, a lot of xiphoid process kissing.
Yeah. And then she says, "So tell me, what do you feel?" And he responds, "One man's dream is another man's lunch."
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, what do you feel?
One man's dream is another man's lunch.
You son of a bitch.
What is that?
I think this is an oral sex joke, obviously, but that's one of the many sex acts they absolutely did not do. We watched them have
Not
sex.
even close.
There was no oral sex involved. There was no... I don't know what that's a reference to.
I mean, I really enjoyed learning how Martians fuck. I think that was an educational experience.
Yep.
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
like
sense.
you're really tickling her Zingwarp with that.
Keep it down. You know I like my Zingwarp tippled.
I know that.
I know that. We cut to Mr. Chang, and he tells Seth to kill all the Babe agents. But I just made the note that these are the people who use a boat that launches a helicopter to smuggle like a human handful of diamonds. And now they're like, fuck it, just blow up the entire island. We gotta just fucking kill everybody. Main Hunk makes a razor blade frisbee, which is the perfect weapon to take out Shades. Because remember, something about frisbee. So Shades is, every day he plays frisbee with this bikini babe. And he like beckons the bikini babe over. She's right on schedule. And then here comes our Hunk to join her. And she's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, come run with me. And they show up. And here's what the clip we were talking about earlier, where they talk about... I'll just play the clip. It's very strange.
Hey, Colleen, who's that turkey with you?
He's just a thrower.
Sorry, Buster. We ain't allowed here. Take off.
Hey, lighten up. We're just throwing.
Oh, yeah? Let's see you throw one.
Just like that's how you talk around frisbee.
Yeah, these are real throwers, you can tell.
And so he throws it, they're like 15 feet apart. So he throws a frisbee, and if you've thrown a frisbee, it's hard to like do a good throw that close. So he gives him kind of a little gentle wobbly throw, but that's all Shades needs. He's like, oh, this guy's a fucking thrower. So he puts his Uzi down. He's like, it is time for frisbee.
Dude, there's this B-boy Bushido thing over this whole scene that I was just sort of fascinated by. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I found another warrior, I see.
Yes, there's like a face-off element to it. I'm going to fucking do a sweet catch, then I'm going to give you a real nice throw.
It also told me I need to vary my diet from like, I don't know, the amount of martial arts movies and fucking anime trash and shit I watch us. For a second, I really thought that he was going to like catch the fucking bladed frisbee. I was going to be back and forth like that for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, you expected something cool to happen. I mean, something cool did
cool
happen.
They just jumped right to the punchline, and I was fine.
But they just got to the point. Yeah.
So he switches out the frisbee, and he throws, again, this guy has a gun. Our good guy has a gun. The bad guy does not. The bad guy has, they've shown him put it down. The good guy switches out the little tiny pink frisbee for like a 145 gram nice frisbee. And then he throws it back, and Shades is super into it. He's like, cool, new frisbee. I don't care. And then he throws it back, and then he switches that with a replica with the razor blades in it, and it goes directly into Shades' neck. So he missed the throw anyway.
Fucking threw his fingers into his neck.
Into his neck.
It is incredible. Again, gorier than his movies usually are. It's kind of gnarly looking.
He leaves him to bleed out, too. Like, he's like, fucking die there alone.
Oh yeah, he doesn't finish him off. He's just like, you're done. This is good. It's merciless.
Oh man, it's like a flying guillotine sequel or some shit. It's just
Yes. Nice jumping. That's my favorite line from that movie. So yeah, this movie really is built around these brilliant moments. It's like 85 minutes of titty filler around like this movie really is built around these brilliant like sex doll exploding shades neck severing events
that you'll never forget. And the worst part is like I always have to describe this movie as like it starts slow, which is crazy to say about this movie, but like the highs are so high that you kind of look back and you're like, wow, I waded through a lot of stuff to get here.
There's another great moment here too, because Edie is in a tiny glider plane.
Donna.
And she's just dropping hand grenades on nothing. She's just like fucking
literally like behind the people who she's supposedly on the same side as.
She's really going for team kills.
She's too excited.
But flying from this crazy contraption that they had actually foreshadowed in an earlier scene when a Jeep pulled up, because no vehicle will go unridden in this movie. It's this like, you're in this like weird strappy, but it looks like something somebody built from a kit, which is like...
Yeah, it's like an astrolight attached to like a hang glider.
Yeah, but it's got a propeller in the back, and she's flying this thing around and just dropping grenades from it. It's insane.
I think that scene was the first time I was convinced they were really from the government.
Because how else could that have...
It's like, yeah, this has been in a garage in like a DA building for 40 years. They are very confused by her taking it out, but they're just glad to get rid of the fucking thing.
I think I said Astroglide, but that's the sex lube. I think that's called the Andy Sedaris Freudian slip.
Oh man.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So what do you got? We got a gunfight. It's our boys versus the bartender. I think it's the bartender. And then I was like, in my notes say, nope, this is some other middle-aged man. The bartender is there.
Yeah. Oh, right.
But so they do have some other guy run out and just get murdered.
Yeah.
Ponytail Hunk, after they kill the guy out front, they're like, we got to go inside and clear the house. He takes the rocket launcher for this. Fucking great choice.
Interior gunfight.
I love it. I love it so much. And what he does, he takes the rocket launcher, he gets inside, he turns around, and then he does this back waddle through the entire house, completely missing a guy in the middle of the room behind him who says, hey, freeze.
In the middle of the fucking room.
The best. Yeah. It's such a funny gunfight punchline. The other hunk comes in and just kicks the bad guy, and takes his gun, and then the ponytail hunk's like, okay, cool, thanks. See you later. I'm going to settle this with karate. And then they have like a gentleman's karate fight. Fucking the best. And he says, the good guy says, life's a bitch, and then you die. Which I think this one was a placeholder. I think that was like a line to be determined.
Well, I mean, it's definitely something Andy read off of a t-shirt.
Absolutely.
Ponytail Hunk is like this world's philosopher. Like, he just understands the rules of the place he's in.
Yep. We don't. As people who've seen a million movies, we have no idea what any of these rules are.
We have no context, but that man is right in his element. Yes, he knows precisely what's happening.
It's like saying, my drinking team has a bowling problem. I made my favorite thing for dinner, reservations. Like, what are you talking about? Life's a bitch and then you die.
Like the t-shirts are starting to merge now into like one.
Yep. Taryn kills the guy outside with the machine gun, and she's like really broken up about it. The acting choice she makes is like, oh my God, I just killed a man. And then she like looks around to see, is anyone here to share this emotional trauma with? And there's not. Like, they all left the civilian to just kill men on her own while they had this totally unnecessary 40-minute karate fight. So she's looking around for a friend. It's very sad. It's very weird.
It is.
She has to like shove that pain down into that place that like every 80s bikini model has in her soul. Mm-hmm. Just seal it right away there before the next shoot, and she's good.
Yep.
She's trained for this somehow. Sports Illustrated and her father trained her for this moment.
Oh, man.
So the evil karate man knocks off Ponytail Hunk's beads, and now it's personal. So they decide they're going to pull weapons. It's no longer hand-to-hand fight. The bad guy pulls a knife. The good guy puts on his like palm tiger claws, and then he
those like ninja like hand grip.
They're
things.
So cool. Yeah. I love those. And he like gets behind the guy and does a fucking double throat rip, and he screams, "And then you die!" So it is a callback to the terrible line, which I thought earlier was like, this is just a placeholder. But no, he's like, I'm going to pay that off.
Sequitur.
That's a planned payoff. So the main hunk shoots a bad guy right next to her with a bazooka. She's okay. This bazooka really creates very localized explosions.
Yeah, it's really targeted.
It's kind of like how shotguns are swords in video games. Like the shotgun's a sword, the bazooka's a rifle.
Yeah.
And grenades are just for fun. Like when she was throwing grenades outside, those didn't do anything to anybody.
It's a good time.
They're kind of like morale fireworks.
That's just to let the neighbors know something's going on.
We mentioned this earlier. He goes up to rescue this woman tied up, and he says this.
Wait a minute. This is sensational. Kinky sex. I'll go get the midgets and the whip.
This woman has been tied up for like over a day.
Yep.
Who knows if she's had anything to eat? She's been threatened with weapons. They might not have let her go to the bathroom.
Yeah, it is a weird time to tease your loved one.
Very weird time.
I like her response too.
Like the entire time he's been murdering people, he's just thinking, I've got the best line to tell my girlfriend.
Yep.
Oh yeah, for sure he thought about that in the Jeep ride through the fence.
Planned it. That's why you didn't have time to come up with the life's a bitch and then you die. That was like, normally I'd say something rad here, but I had this cool like midgets and lube thing I was going to say to my traumatized kidnapped girlfriend. Donna is now left alone against the rest of the villains, but then everyone runs out to help her. And Hunk gives her a rocket launcher and she blows up the bad guy helicopter, and Taryn is fucking pumped for this. She's now has a taste for human blood. She calls their deaths gnarly. She's like, fuck yeah, you got him.
And that killed what? The bodybuilder with the nunchucks and the guy who looked like he was going to shit his pants while he was riding the quad.
That's why the bodybuilder with the nunchucks never shows up. That's such a bummer.
Yeah, you never see her again because I think she died in that helicopter.
Damn it.
Fucking ATV.
So the two main bad guys are still at large, right? Seth and Mr. Chang. The good guys are just gloating. They're just like, we killed everybody. We did it. And then Edie finally says, hey, who got that bastard Seth? And they're all like, oh, God damn it. We forgot to kill at least two of the bad guys.
And like legitimately, so had I. Like, there's so many bad guys that like, I would just let a couple of them go. We'll get to it in the next movie.
It's such a special part of this movie's insanity that it starts and ends 3 or 4 times.
Oh my God, it ends so many times.
That was at least our second ending. Now Donna is getting ready for bed. And then Seth is there and he grabs her and then she just escapes. She hides in a closet and he goes to work on the closet slats with his little pocket knife. It is adorable. It is.
The way he's chipping away from like 5 minutes.
It's like watching a kitten like scratch at balsa wood.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's no way you wouldn't hurt yourself in the process of doing
that.
Like, there's no way. Also, this is the point in the movie I remembered that it was about stolen diamonds.
Yes. Yeah, that's...
Like, I completely forgot that the diamonds were a part of this.
Uh-huh. So this gives her so much time to load a harpoon gun, right? Because he is just pecking away at this closet. This is the kind of closet that a 7-year-old might fall into on accident and destroy. I wouldn't know that from personal experience. I'm just saying that... He's going to get through there with his little switchblade. So he opens up the door finally, and she just shoots him in the shoulder with a harpoon gun.
The stakes of the scene are wonderful for me because every appearance by these two has established that he is worthless and she's a ninja.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, he is.
Like, if the harpoon gun wasn't in there, she would do some kind of Shoryuken bullshit.
Yeah, she'd be fine.
Yeah, any of the number of ways she kills him, like, was enough. Like, he was never a real threat.
Because she comes out and she punches him twice, and he just kind of like, okay, that's enough for me. And she's like...
Yeah, he literally lays down.
Yeah, dude. You got a shoulder injury and 2 punches. You're fucking dead. She leaves a knife, like, in his hand. It's, like, just an inch away from his hand. She's like, you're fucking done. I dare you to pick up that knife, you motherfucker. Sure enough, 5 seconds later, he gets up, and he has a knife. And she's, like, around the corner, but she's like, I hear you. I hear you stumbling around over there. So she, like, pops around the corner, completely overpowers him, puts his own knife in his gut with his own hand. Seth cannot fight for shit.
And he's making a face that looks like it sounds like like the whole time.
Yeah, he's selling it. And then he dies again. Donna,
and I'm sure this time he's dead.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure this time he's dead.
She's learned nothing yet. She just leaves him for the comfort of the bathroom floor. She's like, all right.
Now we're done.
Okay.
All the bad guys are dead. We're like safe now.
Yep.
So let's hit our 4th ending.
Yes. So she's like, okay, fine, I'm done. Oh, she like wipes up a little cut she has in her hand, throws the toilet paper into the toilet, and then she just delicately, she's gonna start to flood. Explode! The toilet explodes. The snake explodes out of the toilet.
Just rockets straight up, just like 5 feet of snake coming out of this toilet.
Like, did any of you bitches flush? Spoosh! Seth is like, what just happened in there because he's not dead. He's got like 2 minor wounds and he got punched in the face twice. So he's like, sees the snake and this, remember, this is his one weakness is the snake. So he goes to stab the snake. He's like, I got this, lady. And just gets bit in the face. He's dying from like 25 things because the snake bites him and like all that rat cancer gets in him. And so he's just like, glug, 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 glug. He's like playing it like he's getting electrocuted.
He's like foaming. It's horrible.
Communicable snake cancer. It passes from rat to snake to human. Transferred through snake bite. We all lived through 2020. We know how this works.
I really would encourage like listeners to go look at that particular moment in that film because it's like no description does it justice the way they play it.
It's so good. Just, I'm sure if you Googled exploding snake toilet gif, boom.
The first thing that's going to come up. But it's also like it sucks because now you know. And like the first time you saw that movie, you didn't. And that was like a really special moment in your life. The moment right before you found out a snake explodes from that toilet. Because you could never unlearn it. You could never have that back.
You had a great moment about an hour, 10 minutes ago into the normal length of a podcast about how you really forget the snake in this movie. And I had totally forgotten the fucking snake. Before it explodes out in all its puppet glory.
My mind was on Buff Nunchuck Girl. I totally didn't see her get killed. So the whole movie at this point, I'm like, where is she? Is she going to pop out of the toilet?
That's just like a lobe of my brain now. Left brain, right brain, cortex, Nunchuck Girl. It's just the thing.
Nunchuck Girl snake, the 2 lobes of the brain. Donna shoots the snake twice in the face. And then, remember, this is a snake that is going to die in 36 hours of so many things. And yet bullets to the face are like not among them.
Impervious to bullets.
A cancer-riddled snake just getting shot in the face. And so,
right in the mouth. Yeah, like he gets shot in the mouth and he's like, whatever.
Our main hunk, I guess, knows that she's in trouble. So he just drives his bike through the wall and he sees the snake and he shoots it with a bazooka in his like dear friend's home.
Once again, bringing a bazooka inside as an assault weapon.
I fucking love it. I have a clip here of what they say.
Where did that snake come from?
Did you believe up through the toilet?
Just when you thought it was safe to take a pee.
They just like let it sit there. What?
Finally, Reagan had eliminated all of the pee crime in America. And now this?
Are you a bad enough dude to take a pee in the snake toilet?
I need the people of the world to remember. This movie has blood, nudity out the ass, normal cursing. I just go with that take a pee line, and I am fucking dying.
It's so, it's so baby-like. Like, why didn't he say take a crap? Like, it seems like take a crap would at least have sort of an edge to it.
That would have been so much, harder. So much more,
There had to have been a discussion where it's like, I don't think taking a shit. Like, well, I want my movies to be sexy. I don't want people to think about people shitting on a snake's head.
It's like we're filming a tasteful toilet snake blood explosion scene.
I almost guarantee you that is exactly what he thought. He was like, I don't want to remind people that Donna Spears sometimes takes shit. So he has the say pee.
That could have been Donna's note. She's like, dude, my whole thing is that people don't know that I poop.
You're ruining the magic here. You're pointing at the poop behind the curtain.
Voluptuous, curvy vixen Donna Spears has never pooped and was born in Roanoke, Virginia.
And she never will.
Let's talk about the last thing, because we still haven't dealt with Mr. Chang.
I mean, all the bad guys are dead, right?
No.
Oh, shit.
Got Mr. Chang. And so they're like, okay, we know where he is. So they just go to Mr. Chang's office, and they just
roll
right
up
the
in
fuck
there?
in. Yeah.
It does it, yeah. There's no security except for the one guy with humongous arms and a tiny little baby face.
He skips face day. He's a super buff guy. And they go in and they just knock him out with numbers. They beat the shit out of him.
Dude, it gave me Beekeeper flashbacks. They just beat the piss out of this guy after describing how tough he is.
For a minute. for like a minute, and he never fights back. It's horrific.
Yeah, he's all stiff from his weightlifting. He is not good at fighting. And then so Mr. Chang grabs a katana. Like, this is their security. They have one guard, no cameras. The CEO has a katana on his wall. They're like, we're protected. They pull their guns on him. He's like, done, right? They have guns on him. He's like, no, I've got this. He takes his katana and he holds it like a spear, throws it at them with like a squeal, like a piggy squeal.
2 people he throws his one sword at them.
He was just hoping that like the morale loss of like his death would take Donna out long enough for him to grab another katana.
Yeah, you're coming with me.
I was fully bought into the fever dream at this point, so I was kind of ready for this.
Yeah.
It's just not how a normal billionaire would like deal with the problem. He'd be like, go ahead and arrest me. I'll be out by tomorrow morning, blah, blah, blah. But no, he's like, sword attack!
Right before he throws the sword, he says, in a pig's ass.
Yep.
Like when they tell him, you're coming with us, he's like, in a pig's ass.
You know, Mr. Chang's a real cosmopolitan, because, you have that whole rant about his parentage that we talked about earlier. Then we get to like his LA or where the hell his office is. Then he has a bunch of Japanese weapons on the wall. And we're just zigzagging across the planet.
He's the best.
I feel like it was all Orientalism, right? Like in the 80s, that was just like our full and total cinematic understanding of like, any Asian.
But coming in a pig's ass, that's very American.
Yeah, I think that's actually like one of the extra verses to like the Star Spangled Banner.
That's what the bombs bursting in air, like, that was the first draft.
Exactly. If I was a terrible comedian in like 2014, I would just break into song right now.
Yeah. But then today you'd get canceled. Post Gamergate, canceled.
Yeah.
Jamie, let's cut out all of this un-American stuff now that we're mentioning it. We never get a nunchuck lady. That was very disappointing. And then through some really dumb, probably not legal technicality, Taryn tells all these secret agents, hey, I'm going to keep the diamonds because I don't actually work for any government agency, so I can just fucking keep illegal diamonds.
Yeah.
And they're like, technically, she's right, fellas.
Nothing we can do about it.
That's how they end, except it has, this is going to sound fucking crazy, but this movie has a second expository theme song. And so they start playing this over the credits, and all of the titty scenes from earlier are just like clipped in. Not like behind the scenes titty scenes, the exact ones you've already watched.
And if you watch the credits, the first song's called Hard Ticket to Hawaii. This song's just called Hard Ticket.
Okay, but this one, it's Hard Ticket to Paradise.
It's a totally different song.
Totally different song, right.
Yeah.
Run to your destiny. The price is high, but it's worth it if it's found. 'Cause nothing good is ever for free. Whoa, I got a hard ticket.
Einstein 100 Frankfurt. Einstein 100 Frankfurt. Unser Podcast genau. Und mit maximalen Schau. Sag Frankfurt Podcast. Korrekt. Ja. Der Kraft ist nicht gratis, nicht ohne. Schick die in die Hundesau. 4 eine Stunde. Komm schon.